I'm not sure what I'm amazed by, actually. The fact that you got it, or the fact that you got it on the loo. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Golden Chips. I didn't say welcome back this time, like the first
No,
take.
we did do a test run, and you did say welcome
I did remember that
back
this was, in
instead.
fact, the first episode, and nobody would
First
have
episode.
any idea what we're talking about otherwise.
It's not wrong. It's not
No,
wrong.
how you doing, George? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've literally been. I haven't really been doing much, but I can happily say I do have a good PC setup, and that comes off the bat that my sister's moved out. Like she moved to my dad's,
Ooh.
but she left like a desk there, which is and I was like, I just like a Friday, and I was like, hold on a second, I could use that desk. Like it's a small desk. It's only. And my mum took some screens from her work because she's not going to go back there. They're closing down as a business. 1080p screen, like I ain't complaining. Put that together. Bought myself a keyboard because the other one was like the same width of the entirety of the desk. And took my brother's Alien Workshop. No, Alien Workshop's escape brand. Alienware, like mouse mat that you got at like I don't know a convention. Already had the gamer mouse because I've always had one, and had a mic that I bought discounted in like Maplin's. Like,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Rip
so
Maplin's.
rip Maplin's,
Rip.
rip
One iconic British brand.
Staples. It was, to be fair, the same as Staples. And when I walked past Staples, they had the exact same like closing down decor as such. It was quite weird because I saw that, and I know what you're going through, guys. Don't worry. When I worked at Staples, but then I
Feel
bought a
your
mic,
pain.
and yeah, exactly. It's literally this is what I was thinking. But I bought mics. I had a mic. Like I say, bought a mic stand. It was like £7. Keyboard was like 20. Already had the pop shield. Don't know why. I just had all this.
Just had one there. Happened to.
I literally did. So that's how it felt because I bought it so long ago. And I just sort of suddenly had this setup for like bare cheap.
It's all magically came together. It's like, oh look, a
Right.
desk.
So
Oh look, a mic. Oh look,
yeah.
screen.
So exactly. So it's like it's just nice to now have a place where it's like PC I can go and actually like proper not connect it to my TV and have the laptop on the keyboard on my lap, and the mouse on the edge of my blooming chair. Like it's not really that's not a setup.
Yeah, I
But I
remember
do
your
have
old
one that is quite
setup, and
nice.
it was
Yeah,
it was interesting
it was what we
helping
had.
you
It
set
was
that
what
up.
yeah,
That
it
was
was
an
embarrassing
endeavor.
to say. But hey, it worked for then, and then like it's just nice to say, because I do remember telling you, I was like, oh, I'm gonna put my PC away now, and as much as you're like, oh yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's a pretty like shocker because it's like you gave me this really good setup,
No, I understood
you
it.
know.
It's like you
Um,
didn't really have, like,
no,
not
I
so
didn't
much the
have
means,
anywhere,
but you
so
didn't have the need for it at the
that's it. And
time.
like, because I changed my room, there was nowhere for it. I wasn't really wanting to go on it because of the shame in a way of knowing how I'm playing it. And it just felt wrong. Like, there's nothing right about playing a PC on a 40-inch screen, is there?
Mm.
So when I then had that moment in my head, like I was like, oh my god, and I was so happy to get out. I literally woke up at like 9 o'clock the next day, which is, I woke up at 12 today. Like it's a rarity that I wake up that early, but indeed I did and set it up on that very Saturday after. And it's the best thing I've done, really. It's
Mm.
it's so good to have a setup.
And then there's just today. It's like I messaged you at like 11. I get a
Yeah,
message back
message
at
me at
1. Hey, I
11.
just woke up. Let me finish my cereal.
Yeah, boy. Literally, I was literally still in bed when I woke up, and well,
Oh,
obviously I was still in bed. I'd be worried if I wasn't still in my bed.
it wouldn't
But
be
no,
a
I
starting
definitely.
out podcast without just a sheer utter lack of planning.
I should have just done it. I should have just done it from my bed.
You
Been
should have
like,
just done it from your bed, just like still
what's
hearing
that?
like the cereal in the
Yeah,
background.
here's here in the
And
background, a few rustling from the bed sheets.
yeah,
What's going on?
a little bit of
I'm still in bed,
rustling.
man.
It's
I've
like,
been called
just going
from work.
downstairs to the kitchen,
Exactly. So what's
making
all this
myself a cup of
clanging?
tea. No, I remember with your with the PC, and I mean setting it up was a challenge, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
remember
think I
there was
ever
some.
told you this. But do you remember
Oh,
when it was beeping? When it was beeping
I
for
just
like a
I just
good
remember all
10
these
minutes.
issues. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
remember all these issues.
yeah.
You just kept spamming the keyboard and things were working. I was like, ah.
It's like, so for context, on on some motherboards on PCs, it's like you
Am I
get
only finding
the
this out now? I'm joking.
on some motherboards on PCs, you get either like a little speaker or a little LED that responds like if
Right.
there's an error. So it'll be like if the
Yeah.
CPU isn't incorrectly, if the memory isn't correctly, and
Okay.
we just had this beeping that was constantly
Mm.
going off
Right. Yeah.
anytime we
Yeah.
tried to boot the thing. And for a good 10, 15 minutes, I was just looking at it in utter confusion. And then I saw the RAM sticks were looking a little high, and
Mm.
I crack up thinking every time about this because I realized that we had been
Oh.
sitting there for 15 minutes with the
Yeah.
memory in the wrong way round, wondering why it
Oh.
wouldn't
See,
boot. I never
that's
told
what
you this at the
you
time
never
because
told me
I
that.
was so
But you
embarrassed.
I
I
remember
was
you said,
so
I was
embarrassed.
like, what was wrong with it? And you were like, oh, it's just sometimes
I
dust gets caught
I
in it.
tried to brush it off. I tried to brush it off. It's
I
like,
was like, you know
oh
what?
no, it
It's
was
fair
just
enough,
the
man.
connection is like a bit dust
Yeah,
got
it's fair enough,
caught.
man.
One of the
Yeah,
pins.
you could have literally told me that it's like, oh, software, and I'd
I
be like,
didn't
ah,
want to
fair
look like
enough,
a
man.
dumbass.
Nah, but the thing is, I don't know enough about. Could have said it was the memory the wrong way. I'd be like, bro, I don't even know where to put the memory.
Yeah.
I just take for granted there is memory on there, which
Mm.
that's fine. Nah, I do. That was now that I know that was quite funny. That's
Yeah,
brilliant. Really.
I
Just
just
the
I
wrong way
couldn't live
around.
with myself for like a
So it
week.
was
I
just
just
going.
for a good week I just looked at my own PC just in shame. Just you
Never the
just
same.
just look at the memory and think how this should be one of the most simple parts to put in, and I cocked it
Yeah.
up. I somehow managed to cock it up.
If I could make one adjustment, and this could be something that you could teach me on how to do to the PC that you've given me. I don't know how possible it is.
Hmm.
I do want a disc tray. The amount of
I think we can do
times
it.
that way we can do it. The amount of times I'm like going into CX and I'm like, because I don't know if I'm right here. Because again, when I was a kid, I used to play PC a bit, but it wasn't really the PC. Like I do remember. Firstly, actually, do you remember? Do you have stuff in cereals? Sounds a bit
Oh
right. Do you
no,
remember
I
the
completely get you.
Bionicle
It's like the
ones?
cereal
Do you know the
boxes and stuff
Bionicle?
like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Bionicle ones. You got the mini little disc. You put them in. You got anyway. I just remember though, disc trays and that obviously that you put the game in, but you don't actually need the disc in the tray. It just downloads it.
Hmm.
It was such a pointless thing, but obviously the go-to is like Steam and that, and it's like okay, that's fine, but like it's also quite expensive.
Yeah.
You see a lot of I walk past CX pretty much all day, all the time,
Hmm. You just
and
circle round. You just go
I
like
do circle.
you have
It's my place,
that is
man.
your
It's
life, just
my
walking
place.
around
It
the
is my
CX
life.
block.
Whenever there's a C, you know how like people you have to go in somewhere, like you just have to.
Hmm.
That's me in CX. It's like if you
You've
know
got to. You always have
my
that
mum
one shop.
absolutely my mum absolutely loves Asda, and I'm pretty sure if she saw every Asda, she'd be like, oh, let's just pop into Asda. I don't know why, don't ask. But like I'm the same with CX, and I could look at the same games and like just I even sometimes go on I make a mental note of what games are on CX like near me. So like, if I've got a game, I'll be like, oh, where can I buy this? And I'll do near me. And if it's Tunbridge Wells Maidstone or Tunbridge, I'm like, set, brilliant, love that.
Hmm.
So it means I can actually go out my way and get it. But no, I do see a lot of PC like, well, can't really do much with them.
Hmm.
But then some of them are like pretty nostalgic sort of games. I'm like, oh shit, no way, that exists. So
Yeah.
something to maybe upgrade. My upgrade won't be graphics wise; it will just be disc
Yeah.
trays.
No. I mean, I know that they use discs a lot for old PC games, especially
Yeah.
for like copy protection. I remember I was trying
Yeah.
to get Underground 2 set up, and
Oh wow! Oh god, yeah.
one of the things
That-
about it is like some of the EA games before they
Mm.
started having like DRM protection like inbuilt
yeah,
because it was
yeah.
it went discs, it went serial keys, as in like you get the
Yeah.
box and you'd have like a 25-digit code to
Yeah,
activate
yeah,
your
yeah.
game to make sure that you can like just take the disc from someone and just steal it essentially. And
Yeah,
then
pretty much.
obviously now we're in like an online age where
Yeah.
everything has got digital rights management, everyone's got protection.
That's-
But no, one of the things that used to be the case with a lot of old games like Underground 2 when I was trying to set up is that you'll have the game disc, but
Yeah.
then you'd have a second disc that you'd have to put in to verify it.
Right, that was the case. Yeah, actually, to be fair, I remember.
Yeah. It's like
you
you try
did
and
that
boot
with
the game, like it would download the game off the first disc, and then when you're trying to boot the game, it said, please insert disc 2.
Yeah, 360 did that on GTA. They had 2 discs, and I remember And there's a game called it's Star Wars Rebel. It's exactly the one I had was Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, and that used to play. It played on 2 discs, so you'd play it on the first one, and then you'd literally get to like this checkpoint on the game, and it'd be like, please insert disc 2.
Yeah, no,
Insert
it's
disc 2.
so bad. I mean, don't even get me started because there were PS2 games
Yeah.
that were run like 4 discs. I think it was like one of the Final Fantasies had 4 discs to it.
Oh dear,
I
that's...
cannot remember which one though.
I know. Rage, the Rage on the 360
Mm.
had 3 discs. It was ridiculous.
No,
It
I
was
think with a lot of
absolutely
games like
ridiculous.
that though, I think it's a case of the game is so big, especially on the
Yeah,
later gen, like
that's
on the
it.
later titles.
Nowadays, you wouldn't see
No, but I mean,
next gen it, but
on
like,
like next gen titles, the discs are so large that they have that you
yeah.
still have to do a download on next gen, right? Because
Oh yeah,
I
if you
don't
do
have an Xbox One or
the,
PS4 or any of the new gen consoles.
the download thing annoys me, right? Because for example, it's better but annoying because any game that you ever put in, you have to install it, even if it's like a backwards compatibility game. It has to be installed, which is better in
Yeah,
a way because it goes off a server. It doesn't necessarily. I could be wrong on this, but I think it goes more off like an online server than it does the disc. And there was only the only way that would be a safe haven on previous consoles, the Xbox 360, would be that if your disc is like, I remember my Modern Warfare 2 disc was absolutely scratched to bits. Like I don't know what happened to it. Like the plastic rim bit that sort of breaks up the,
oh
you've got
yeah,
the rims on the plastic. You've got the one in the middle, which obviously sits even on the CD player, or
yeah.
sits
Because you've
just
got that
there.
little bit in the
That
middle, and then you've got the actual
yeah,
written data on the
yeah,
disc around
yeah.
to the
So you've
edges.
got that bit in the middle, little plastic bit. That was smashed. Like that was like cracked. Don't know
Oh my
what
god,
happened.
how?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I was bought like that. Because when I first bought it, my brother was like, "You're not playing it. You're not ruining my KD," and I was like, "All right, get over yourself." But I don't know what happens. But you could install the games on the 360, and it would then use the installed version of that. It wouldn't like care what the disc is. It would just think there is something here that I recognize. Oh, but you've got it on the console. Okay, we'll play it through there. And that's the one good thing about the newer console, the Xbox One and the PS4s and the Series X, is that you need the disc because it tells you the game, it tells the console that you have it, but you don't. If it's broken, it doesn't really change too much. It sometimes can. I have had it where it does, but it sort of works. It does it. It's just the palaver of installing when you just want to play the game. You can't
Yeah.
just put the game in now and play it.
Yeah, I think how it
Uh,
works with back compat is that essentially it downloads a mirror like of the
yeah,
game
it's
onto your
emulated.
hard drive. Yeah,
It's
because
really emulated.
it's got an inbuilt emulator.
Yeah, like you bring up the 360 dash on it, and you can adjust and change things through the 360 dashboard that you can do on the 360. It's
I
really
still think
really
that's so
quite
cool
clever.
though. I think that's so
Quite
cool the fact that
clever.
they
Yeah.
they put in the dashboard and everything, not just like oh if you hit
Mm.
the Xbox button it just reveals you're in an Xbox One. No, they put the proper dashboard
Oh yeah.
back in.
100%. They've
I
done it.
love
Oh yeah.
that. I love that. But no, it's to sort of circle back, circle
Mm.
back to the topic. It's I find it funny that you've got you've got all the PC finally set up and everything,
Yeah.
considering that
Yeah.
you somehow managed to get a Series X. And can I just ask,
Mm.
how? How the hell did you manage to get a Series X?
Do you want the full story?
Yeah,
Or
lay it
like,
on me. Lay it on me,
all
man.
right.
I
So
need the story because
I've
that is
been
an
all right.
achievement. That is
First
an
got released.
achievement. Oh my god.
It first got released at like God. I woke up. They all got released. I can't remember when they all got released. Either way, they all got released on like another day. So I woke up and it like they all sold out instantly, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? That's fine." I mean, I was up. I was 8 o'clock. I wasn't expecting much. And then it got to the point where I was like, "Well, I'm not fussed," because every time I've had the Series X, it's always been after sort of Christmas. My mum and dad would get it for me, so I've never had it this early, or did have it this early, so it wasn't really a issue for me. It was about a month later. So the ones that I was going to order would have been given to you. They would have been December, and then on I think it was the 24th of November. That suddenly, I was fast asleep. So I got a phone call from my mate, which I ignored. I deliberately put it down, and he then started spamming me on like Snapchat, going like, wake up now, wake up, there's Xboxes. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I am still asleep. Like, I'm not even like, I pretty much wake up when I get in the shower. And so I'm there, I go to just try and wake up, because now I'm up. So I'm sitting on the loo, and I'm literally just scrolling through game, and I'm seeing all these Xbox Series X's, and I'm like, what is going on? And the further, like the higher ones, the higher up, it's like the bigger the bundles. I'm like, I don't want a bundle. And James was my mate was like, oh, I've got one in the basket for you anyway. And there was a fat waiting list. I waited for like 10 minutes. I was still in the loo, like just sort of scrolling through, and I eventually found one that was like, and I don't know how I did this because I don't know what was going on. I was, like I said, I was still asleep, but I remember I was scrolling and I found this one for like five oh something 540. Okay,
Yeah, like
you know what?
550
Screw it.
quid-ish.
Yeah, I was like, no, it wasn't even the fact I wanted it. I just sort of went, screw it. Let's see if I can get it. So I clicked it, and I waited, and it waited, and then it just went, thank you for purchasing. Here's the confirmation. I went,
No.
what? And I was like, I said, I've just finished my poo. Like I'm not at all sure what's going on, mate.
Oh my god.
Mum's room finished.
Oh
I'd
no.
walk into my mum's room, but I finished what I was doing. I went to my mum's room and I went, Mum, just read this for me. She was like, George, I can't see it out my glasses on. I was like, I'll read it out for you. But I read it for her and I just said, it says, thank you for purchasing, or this is your confirmation. Let's say purchasing, it might have, but like, this is your confirmation for sure. It's like, this is your confirmation for the Xbox Series X. And I was a bit like, for a good half an hour, I just sort of sat on the edge of on my bed, like, this
How?
has to be a joke. This has to be a joke.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the email to go like April Fools or something. And I'm
Yeah, it's
like,
like, in
what is
error,
going
your
on?
order's been cancelled due to an error.
Right. Exactly. But lo and behold, no, it didn't. And on the 23rd of December, very early in the morning, about 8 o'clock, knock on the door, and brother wakes up, answers it. I'm woken up from this. I go downstairs, it's a box with my name on it, and there is the darling Series X with the controller. That was the extra, why the extra price, but it felt good because I didn't overspend. Like when it first came out, I was going to buy all the extra gubbins, like a hat, a t-shirt, a blooming tea maker. I don't know. I didn't want that. Like that was at the time. It was more the ideas that I've got it. The Xbox One, and they did the first one. The first day release, there was a controller which said Day One Edition.
Yeah.
Didn't do that with this one, so there wasn't really a point when I thought more about it. Like,
Yeah, you're not getting
I
anything
should.
exclusive.
No, no.
You're just
Oh, I
like
got,
having the privilege of getting it, feels like.
yeah, like, I got a hat. Oh wait, no, I don't, because
Yeah, it's not an exclusive thing.
prior that I did get it, and annoyingly, it wasn't really worth it because
Really?
everything's been delayed because of COVID.
Yeah.
So there's not many proper games you can play. Like it is getting better. This year has proven that there are some good Series X games and optimizations happening, but they promised, like Halo Infinite was meant to be a day one release. Like you've literally on the box, you've got Halo Infinite. There is no Halo Infinite yet because it's been delayed. So
Yeah.
it's upsetting for that world of gaming, but it's also it means that if they don't release a game that was Cyberpunk, for example, where you had to play it on the Series X, it was a good game. I'm not slating it, but it was somewhat unplayable on the Xbox One. And I just still have no idea how I got it, but I'm very chuffed I have, and it sits happily next to my TV, and it's just nice also to experience at the time to experience 4K gaming,
Hmm.
but also now I've noticed it doesn't really change to me. Like I can't see the 4K because I'm so used to it. If that probably sounds quite snobby, but like
No, I do get that. I do get that,
right
definitely.
when I first did it, when I first like booted up Valhalla on the Series X, I was like, oh my god, look how stunning it is. I go on it now, I'm like, this game looks like a Xbox One game. Like it just looks like a game. It doesn't look
There's
amazing.
nothing that screams next gen
No,
in
no.
that sense.
It
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
it's
that's going to
quite
be the case for a
upsetting.
while, though. I think it's going to be a
Mm,
case of it's like there's going to be a lot of cross-gen titles just because
right.
like they can't get enough of the consoles out.
That's
So
it.
there's going to
That's
be a
it.
lot of cross-gen, so
Mm,
it'll be built on not specifically for next gen, but it would say like,
yeah.
oh yeah, if you've got next gen, you've got like a performance mode, like a 4K mode or something,
Mhm.
or like 120 FPS mode. But I
Yeah,
think for
that's
a
it.
while, just because they can't get enough of the things out, that it's going to be
Exactly.
stuck in a limbo for far
Yeah.
longer
Yeah.
than like what we saw with the 360 and the One. That
Yeah.
was like you had a few cross-gen
Oh, that
titles,
was an interesting era, but
but
I think that one was more
yeah.
beneficial. I don't
Mm,
know. The reason I think also why this Series X isn't worth it is because when you to Xbox One, you had to get the Xbox One. You had to, because if you didn't, it's the same when they went Xbox to Xbox 360 and then Xbox One. Like that era, you had to upgrade if you wanted the better get version. But with
yeah.
this one, you can quite easily stay on the Xbox One for ages. There is no difference because you're finding a lot of the time they'll upgrade and optimize the game, but you've got to pay extra for it anyway to be on the Xbox One on the Series X. Sorry, the Xbox One version is the cheaper one, so you're sort of somewhat getting cons sometimes, but somewhat not.
Mm,
Um, so that's what I mean. Like you don't have to upgrade to the Series X. Like it's a very I can see what they've done. They want to keep it all like the gaming industry's only increased since the Xbox One and all that. So
yeah.
and with all the cross plat and everything through PC
Yeah,
and
they want to keep it
PS4 and that,
somewhat
they want to
uniform.
keep it uniform. Exactly, they want to keep it, in some sort of community, which I get, but it does sort of it hasn't decreased, but it could quite easily make people like lose faith, be like, was that worth it?
Yeah.
Because I know I definitely have double for it, but I'd still play it. Obviously, it's the console I have, but I put the Xbox One away because I don't need it because
Yeah.
it's literally the same interface, it's the same look. Oh, you got dynamic backgrounds actually, so that's different, isn't it? That's so
Hmm.
worth the money. But like, Gen got
500
barely
quid
any
for
different,
wallpaper engine.
100%. But like with the 360, you cannot on the Xbox One unless it's through a backwards game. You can't just randomly bring up the 360 console. I mean, I think you used to be able to through the TV app, but who does that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just because of how things are at the moment. I mean, like you can play every Xbox One title on the Series X, right? So it
Yes, yeah, of
basically
course.
it essentially
Yes.
replaces the
It,
one, but it's not a proper next gen like a leap just
the
because there's
one
nothing
good
tailored
thing I'll
for it.
say about the Xbox One's games that you do put in, every game has a AI'd auto HDR. So
Oh.
I did boot up Xbox Indiana Jones game that was given for free on Games of Gold, which can I just say, Games of Gold is trash recently, has been trash for so long. Don't know what they're
I
doing.
I haven't got it. I've just been PC and I never had a one, so I
When you
haven't had games for
compare
gold
it,
in ages.
when you compare it though to like PS4, it is gust or PlayStation. It's like they're getting like Modern Warfare remastered free, and then we're here out getting like Slime Ranchers, and you're like,
Oh, to be fair,
okay.
Slime Rancher,
Yeah,
Slime
that
Rancher.
was a good example. I mean, I'm talking like
Yeah, but you're talking like
I'm talking
AAA versus sort of
poker,
a
like
lot
poker stuff.
smaller.
Like, what kid wants to play a poker game and stuff like that? Anyway, so I load considering it's an Xbox original, good
Yeah.
like there was a good like HDness if that to it. Like it did look pretty. It looked like someone could make it in nowadays and sort of go, this was a homage style to what it was, and you'd be like, yeah, fair enough, because it's still got that sort of crispiness of the HD, but it's still quite old looking.
Yeah.
So the auto HDR does do a lot of older games justice, sometimes more so than the optimization games that have done by proper people, because in a way the AI just picks out bits that it needs to improve, and it's all done on a computer. But then compared to someone actually going out of the way and like shading, the shading over there might miss. So then you've like, oh yeah, they've properly the other, where the
Yeah.
AI will just pick up all of it. So sometimes the auto HDR does it a lot more justice. That's a good thing about the Series
That's
X.
cool that it's giving a
All
bit of a
games
glow up to
optimized.
older games as well. And I mean
Yeah,
that's
it definitely
that's
feels
one thing
like
I'll
it has.
definitely give to Xbox is that like
Yeah,
their Xbox Play Anywhere and the whole smart delivery
yeah,
thing, so like you
that's
get the
quite
free
good.
upgrade. That's one thing I can
Yeah,
definitely tip my hat to Xbox for.
yeah, no, exactly. They're getting. I think I don't like console wars.
Yeah, I didn't want to say
It's
I didn't want to say that
yeah.
because I'd be worried I'd set off the console wars. I'm
I
not a
don't.
fan.
I don't care for it. I
Like,
don't care for console wars. Like you play, it's like play what you want to play.
mm,
If I could afford all of it, if I literally could have a PS5 or PS4 or original play, any of these
yeah,
consoles, I definitely would. Like I still want to play Spider-Man. I still want to play The Last of Us exclusives where I have to think about, all right, I've got to go a different console to play it. But it doesn't mean the console is no better. At the end of the day, it's a console in the
Mm,
saddest, sloppiest sort of
yeah.
way. It is just a console. Get over yourself. There's no need to argue about which one's better because
Yeah,
they're
it's like
all
each has their merits.
they do
Each has their merits.
yeah, exactly. But no, I definitely don't
Mm.
agree with console wars. I just think it's I went from 360 was the first console on my play, let's say.
Yeah,
So
so you had the
I'm just being
360.
faithful really on it. You know, if my friends were on PS5 or I'd be on that, you know, but they're not. So because I'm
Yeah.
360
I
or for
think
Xbox, sorry.
I think that the main factor is one, what you want to play, and two, where your friends are. It's like
I
for
don't
the
know my
old
friends are.
gen, it's that I was like, I've pretty much, it's safe to say that I've been Xbox all the way through, short for PS2, because I had original Xbox, I had a 360, I skipped the one,
Mhm.
and I was looking at a Series X, but with a PC, it's doesn't really make that much sense to me, especially
No,
now that
it's fair
PC is
enough.
essentially getting identical releases with
Yeah,
consoles.
you're basically you can play console play on. Yeah, no, I agree with that
Yeah,
on the
and even
on
you're even getting
PC.
some PlayStation games coming to PC. Like I think,
Yeah, I didn't know
what was it? It wasn't. Was it Beyond Two Souls? No, Detroit Become Human
that.
and Beyond Two
I'm not
Souls,
sure, man.
and I think
Sure,
Heavy Rain
do
as well. I think they all came to
I did
PC.
look into it. I do think Xbox care more about making a community than PlayStation, but
Mm,
I think that's just assumption at this point. I
yeah,
don't really
I
know,
think
but
that's
from
part
what
of.
I've seen,
Yeah, I think that's just
PlayStation are
because they have
quite.
PC as
Mm,
well, though.
yeah,
It's like the
yeah,
fact
that's
that
the thing.
they've
I
got the
think
PC market as
PlayStation
well
have
as part of the
always been
console
a bit.
market.
PlayStation have always been a bit like, no, we don't want back. We don't want
Yeah, I get that
that,
as
and it's
well
like,
because they
dude.
were market leaders last gen.
No, definitely. Well, because the Xbox messed up when they did the Xbox One. They messed up massively. They were like, you can't
Mm,
share games. Like thinking back to I was saying about the piece, the
yeah, the marketing was a
PC
disaster
games.
without a doubt for the Xbox
Oh
One,
my
but they
god, they wanted to
really,
focus more on TV and
yeah,
other gubbins. It's like, hold on. What made me laugh was PlayStation's tag for the players.
yeah,
You know there was a kick in the face to Xbox.
oh
You know it
yeah.
was.
It's like they tried
Xbox
to
was
focus on like essentially making it a media box rather than a
yeah,
console. They wanted it to be
yeah,
multi-purpose. To which everyone
exactly.
replied, "No, we buy a console for the games. We got a
Yeah. You
Skybox or
can't
whatever for the
share
rest of the
games.
media."
You buy a disc, that disc becomes yours exclusively. Huh?
Hmm.
Are you joking me? What, I
Yeah,
can't go couch surf with my mate and play the game? No. Right.
yeah, that was definitely a
I don't
kick in the face. But
remember
they
I
have
don't
turned it
remember the
around.
uproar. I don't remember the uproar of that, but I do remember it existing, I guess.
Yeah, I somewhat get that. Like I said, I've been Xbox all the way through. So,
Yeah,
like, I had Xbox original, 360, skipped to
yeah, yeah.
consoles. Because
Oh,
from that
okay.
point on, I got PC, and short of having
Yeah,
like a PS2 or a Nintendo 64,
I had this too.
like I pretty much lived on Xbox. But still, if I was asked, I want a brilliant example of storytelling in a game, I would tell you to get a
Yeah.
PS4 and play God of War because that's a beautiful
Right.
game, and I have had the privilege of playing it, and my
Oh,
God, like that game moved me. Honestly, that game
yeah,
really moved
yeah.
me. But
Isn't
it's
it like with all the it was like boy,
yeah, Dad of Boy, the alternate
boy,
title, Dad of Boy.
the
I cannot
ultimate
wait for
ultimate.
the second game to come out for the
Yeah.
PS4 and 5.
I think Mortal Kombat had an exclusive Kratos like character. I think it was Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
9.
I
It
think it
wasn't come out with Mortal
was.
Kombat
Yeah,
9,
it must
but
have been 9.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember having
people were over
an
talking it
exclusive
number 9,
character.
but it wasn't. It's only because it came out and it was like, oh, is it number 10?
Yeah, mind you,
People thought,
fighting games are notorious for just having the weirdest cameos. I remember Soul
right?
Calibur 4 had Yoda in it
I
and Darth
remember
Vader.
this.
That
Now
was
they've got The Witcher in it as well.
yeah, but no, I just remember
Uh,
playing at my like when I was younger. Anytime I go to my grandparents' house, and I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house.
mm,
My uncle would set me up with his 360 and just leave me there
yeah,
for hours. I would always pick
exactly.
Yoda because he was
Yeah.
too short for any of like any high strikes to hit.
Okay.
So I would just pick Yoda
The
and just crouch, and they
the
they wouldn't
best,
hit me unless they would do like a load strike. It was so
of course.
stupid.
Yeah, the best exclusives to any
Oh yeah.
fighting game.
If your
Smash
game
Bros.
doesn't have Yoda,
Just
what are
saying.
you doing? Back to the
Yeah,
drawing board.
Smash
Don't
Bros
even
needs
come at
Yoda.
me.
Smash
Smash
Bros needs
Bros needs
Yoda.
Yoda. Can we get Yoda for Smash? Can we get that
Because
trending? We need
everyone's
Yoda in
here.
Smash.
Everyone's
Everyone
here.
is here. But
Do you know they've got Steve on there now? Minecraft Steve is a playable
yeah, I
character.
know. I've been getting back
That's
into it somewhat, and it's so weird just looking at the character roster now.
I'm sort of waiting for the character roster to finish
Hmm.
it all.
I
Like
think I've got
every
what
so what like, but
3 more
hold on a
characters,
second.
2 or
I
3.
swear there is so many. What's the game that Ike's from?
Fire Emblem. Oh, there's so many Fire Emblem
I
characters.
didn't realize there were so many. I only
Mm,
played Ike because he's OP sometimes. Like he's just heavy. I don't care for Fire Emblem
mm.
personally, and there's Fire Emblem. I'm like, my God, every roster you just see Fire Emblem. It's like brilliant.
I get it to an extent, but at the same time, it's like when you've got multiple characters from the same game. Like I think there's 3 characters from Fire Emblem Awakening, and
Yeah,
just think at what point is too much? At what point could you
yeah,
have spent that rostering elsewhere? I mean, I get it because
exactly.
it's supposed to be the game that has everyone, because they changed around a lot of the characters in the older games about which Fire
Yeah.
Emblem characters were in there because
Oh,
of
okay.
what Fire Emblem was the newest at the time, what one
So
was
they
the most known.
over time
So
they've
they
just
had to
got
have everyone in that game. It's like when you add more Fire Emblem characters as DLC, you think, come on, man.
yeah. No, I get what you mean.
I'm still
Uh,
amazed about you managing to get the Series X. I'm not sure what I'm amazed by actually. The fact that you got it, or the fact that you got it on the loo. I I don't know what to say to that.
yeah, I'm impressed.
It's
I
like
just remember it being a
you
dream, but it
managed to
was
get that on the
real.
loo. I'm astounded.
Definitely.
You need a trophy or something. It's just like, yep, I bought this on the toilet. What are you gonna do
Well,
about it?
my mate got it day one. Like my mate literally got the day one version. Like he was playing it like almost just under a month before I got mine. It was,
Jeez.
I don't know how he did that either. It was absolutely. It was quite surreal. I can't describe how I felt when I got it, but it was very surreal. It didn't feel real at
Mm.
all. Yeah, no, I'm happy. Like I say, I was happy, but I'm also somewhat yeah that
Yeah,
I
you're
have got it.
conflicted because it isn't worth it yet. Essentially.
It's that quote where it's like from have you ever watched Dodgeball, the true underdog story?
Would have been
Classic.
ages ago if I did.
There's this quote on it which is somewhat relevant where it's like necessary. Is it necessary to drink my own piss? No, but I like the taste because it's sterilizing. I just said it because it was a funny quote, but
Meanwhile,
necessary. Was it necessary to get the actual Series X? No, but I like the fact that I've got it
yeah.
in somewhat,
Mm. I think it's
because
going
I
to
don't
be
have to
that way
worry
for a
about it.
while. It's not necessary. It's not worth it until things stabilize. But it's like you've got it. You made it,
Yeah,
so you don't
yeah,
have
I
to
made it, I've
worry
done
for
it.
a while. It's crazy though,
Exactly.
like how
Yeah.
we're even in this situation. Like
Yeah, I
nobody's
mean,
able to get
I'm still
anything.
waiting on Hogwarts Legacy. Like that game has been teased by like Rocksteady by so many for like 5 years now,
Mm.
and we're finally getting it, and it's being distributed by no better than Avalanche Studios, the ones like behind Just Cause and all of that,
Mm.
and Mad Max. So I'm so excited for Hogwarts Legacy
Yeah.
2022. It
I
was
mean, I
meant to
get
come out
it. It's like delayed
July.
games eventually good and all that. I'm talking about hardware. It's like I've been waiting for a graphics card. I've been waiting on the 3080 for literal months, and I'm still on position like 1000 where I ordered it from.
Yeah, I know.
It's an
I remember you
absolute
talking about this
shambles.
actually. You did want you have been waiting for so long
Yeah,
for it.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's been an absolute mess in all honesty. Like I
it's
don't
because the
put
distribution
Mm.
is
I just like to say I
that
don't put any
job.
blame on like the retailers because they
No,
were
it's
essentially
not their fault.
shafted. A lot of it
Yeah,
just falls on like the hype was so high for like the Series X,
yeah,
PS5, all of the
yeah.
graphics cards
It's
and
it.
everything. The
It's it.
hype was so
All
high,
got released at the
and
same
then
time as
mm,
well,
yeah,
pretty much. And what I hated more as well, you got a lot of people buying them, but not necessarily wanting them.
mm,
If that makes sense, they'll buy them to resell them to make bank, and it's like, okay, you're just stripping someone from actually getting it. Ruining
yeah.
potentially ruining a kid's Christmas because he can't.
Oh
You know,
yeah, scalping's been an absolute. It's
mm.
been the second worst pandemic
Yeah,
at
in a
this
way, it
time. It's
has been for
so
sure.
messy. Like
I agree.
if you scalp, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm just that's what I said. I'm not mad at these
Yeah.
people. Fair enough to them, but it's disappointing that those people are existing and doing what they're doing. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's almost like a perfect storm. You got obviously the pandemic, which is curbing all the supply lines. You got the fact that factories had to shut down for a fair while, meaning that they're essentially behind on production. Because you think when it comes to an actual release of any product, it starts getting produced far before it even
oh yeah,
like is announced, let alone
yeah,
when
yeah,
it's out on shelves, because like they have to build up stock for it because obviously it's going to be
yeah,
a big launch, and a lot of the factories, because of COVID and when that was initially making waves, they had to close down. So all of that
yeah.
time, like all of that pre-production time, was essentially lost, and they've been playing catch up
Yeah.
ever since. It's
That's it, and that's why so many games have been delayed and just not being released in their full potential with so many bugs and everything. It's inevitable there's going to be bugs, but I've been recently noticing there's been a lot more bugs. Like Cold War, what happened with that? I mean, they had way beyond COVID to do it, but it's somewhat they didn't maybe finish it, tweak it by the time
mm,
of COVID. So then when it got released, it's just a trash game. Like I haven't played it. I've seen so many issues with it though. And it's same with like Cyberpunk. Obviously, everyone knows about Cyberpunk and how badly that got released, and
yeah.
it's no fault to the pandemic, unfortunately. It
Yeah,
is a
if we went
shame.
on about Cyberpunk, like we'd be treading on old ground. Like
Yeah,
everyone said their piece about that. It's like it was
yeah.
mismanagement, nightmare, and delays, and everything like that.
They were in no position to release it, but I think they should into it. Like
Mm,
people were getting very annoyed to the fact they kept delaying it. It's like, and this is what happens when you don't delay games. So then when Hogwarts Legacy goes, oh, we're going to delay it, they go, okay, good. And it's like, oh, okay, so Cyberpunk
yeah.
wasn't good when it was delayed. Oh, okay, that's fine. You
Yeah,
know,
it's like
it's
with
just
any product launch
trying
or
to
like
see.
game or anything like that, you got to balance it out because if you announce something too early, you lose a lot of the hype, and not everyone starts to
Yeah,
think, "Oh, this is just being delayed indefinitely. This is going to be just stuck in development hell." Yeah, you got to balance it
yeah,
out, and I think this is one of the biggest things that Cyberpunk got wrong because obviously they weren't in a release window like anywhere near where they needed to be, like to
no.
be of the reasonable quality.
They at a point they did, and then they realized they weren't. So they were like, okay, we'll work on it. When it got, it was king, but it wasn't. Like, they blamed themselves, but I don't think it was their fault personally. But then it could have been.
Yeah.
Maybe they did overhype it. It was very.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's not
uh,
so much they overhyped it, is that they overhyped it too early. It's like I
True.
get if they had given it more time in the oven, and more importantly, if they hadn't led people on in terms of the release date, like they announced it far too early to be ready in the time that they
Yeah.
wanted. Because by the time that they would have delayed it to the point where they're happy with it, all the hype would have died. Everyone would have
Can
just
you imagine if
written it
they
off.
released it when their original release date was?
Oh no.
Like quality that would be in like the oh my god, because
Mm,
it was playable. Like, I played pretty much most on Xbox One, the unplayable version of Xbox One. It wasn't awful. I didn't come into too many bugs. It just didn't look great. It
yeah.
looked a bit naff, the occasional weird bug. But like overall, it still played. It just you wouldn't look at it and go, "Oh, this is the next gen." Oh, okay, cool. But if
Yeah.
they released it on the original release date, the state of that would be in, I think would be. I don't know.
I
I
think
think
that
it
would
would
have been
crash.
I think that would have
But
been
then
like abhorrent. That would have been
I think
borderline
my
lawsuit
Xbox would
territory,
start
I think.
steaming.
I think that would have been borderline lawsuit territory. I mean, hell, they are. I think they are going through lawsuits right now.
Really? Oh, bless them.
Mm.
I know PS4 when it got released and that they took it off the marketplace. Okay,
Yeah, they took
which
it off the
like
marketplace and offered refunds. To get back on topic, I don't envy any of the retailers for who are selling
no,
like Series X's
oh
and
god,
graphics cards because they're getting
no,
shafted just as much as everyone else is. They're at the mercy of the couriers and supply chains who at
oh yeah,
themselves are at the mercy of foundries that are massively months behind because of COVID. They have to shut down, and not to mention Chinese New Year. Factories usually shut down for 3 to 4 weeks, so it's not going to get any
right,
better. There's too many products at a time where there's too little chips because you got to think
yeah,
like
that's it.
do you know how foundries work?
Not really.
Okay,
No,
but
can't say I do.
the
But
short version of it is that you've got these production lines of chips. They're put on wafers,
okay,
and the success rate isn't always 100%. So say you had a
right,
wafer, like a circular wafer that had 100 CPUs on it, for example,
yeah,
but
yeah,
13 of them are defective. And you think of how
okay,
many over the lifetime. That's why they have such a large pre-production run, I think, is just
right,
because like until like you mature the process over time. So like as you get
yeah,
better
yeah,
and as the process matures,
yeah,
you get less errors, you get
right,
less defective models. It's the fact that there's so many products. It's like if I use a company as an example, AMD, right?
sure,
So
okay,
they've
yeah,
like their foundry space for TSMC, one of the foundries responsible for pretty much all of the silicon in iPhones,
oh wow, okay,
CPUs,
yeah,
GPUs. Like they have a lot of clients, but
yeah,
in
yeah,
just AMD's allocation of foundries alone, they've got to make CPUs. GPUs. They've got to make all of the SoCs for the consoles as well because they're powering both the PlayStation and the Series X. Not to
oh
mention all of
yeah,
their old
yeah,
products as well. I just listed the new products. They've still got to
right,
keep
okay,
production of their old products.
yeah. So they're pretty hard work to say the
Yeah, it's
least.
just
Oh
like at the end of the
god,
day. I mean, even car
yeah,
manufacturers like Tesla have had to put a 2 week hold on
true,
the production of their
that's
Model
true.
3 because they can't get the chips for their ECUs and all the components, all the electrical components, they can't get them. That's how badly the shortage runs. And
It's
then
the
when you
same.
get with that
It's
is
the same way
increased
with every
prices as
company.
well.
Yeah, no, it's no one's fault really. If anything, it's the consumer's fault for overdoing the expectation.
I don't know. I think it's a fault
Sometimes
of
I think it depends the company as well.
yeah.
Actually,
I was gonna say the company has responsibility to actually deliver on promises. It's like I'm gonna harp on Nvidia here. It's that they had so much hype for this product and promised availability. Like they delayed, I think it was the 3070 and the 3060 to promise that they would have much better availability. Comes to the 3070 and the 3060 launch day, still sold out within the minute.
Really?
It's things like that. It's just having
yeah.
as good of a product as it is, you have a responsibility when it comes to actually delivering on it, be it like managing hype or tempering expectations. It's like they said, just look, we're at the mercy of our foundries. The foundries are severely behind compared to demand. I could pick a bone on Nvidia. I still hate their decisions, but yeah, a lot of it is just at the mercy of the situation. Like if I were in Nvidia, the last thing I want to do was artificially constrain supply, because I'm a company. I want to make money, so I want to get as many of these graphics cards out as possible. They want them out just as much as we do, although for different reasons.
It is a situation, but it get better by the time, because then when they do, they'll hopefully like work on it, but like not rush it, because they don't want to get it out so quick. They'll take the time that they've lost and use the time to keep going as such. That's why I think now when you hear about a delay, it's frustrating, but it's more like, all right, good. It's good that it's delayed.
All of this going on has made us a lot more open to the concept of delays.
Yeah, exactly. Not you sort of expect them, and if a game isn't delayed, you're sort of a bit, okay, you sure?
Yeah.
You know,
I've had this in my personal projects as well. It's like if scope creep is definitely a thing. It's like if you want to add for a game, if I want to add X feature, but X feature is going to take a set amount of time, I have two options. I could either release the game as scheduled, but put it in a future update, or I can say, okay, I want to make this a more complete product from the get-go. I'm going to delay it by this amount of time to make sure this feature set gets in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
And it's the same with actual like physical releases. If they need more time to build up stock, I'm usually behind that.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same with with me. I want to genre into another podcast that I'm on, a present sort of thing, where we do like these sort of similar to like TGF things, but like with our own sort of version on it, where they just
so like your own spin on like podcasts like that, like TGF. Okay.
Yeah, so not even a TGF thing, but like it'd be like so for example, it'd be like Zanzcast presents Quotable, which would be that series, and the Quotable series would just be adventures, just random things we'll do. We might go like, I don't know, Tesco's and just buy Pokemon cards. But there's been a delay on that because obviously COVID, so we haven't been able to record or do anything properly, because we still need to get my mate's camera, but he then hasn't got his camera because it's at his sister's. It's all this thing, and he can't go do and all that. He can't go grab it. We can't take it. We can't record it because obviously COVID. So there's been delays on some projects I want to get pushed forward, but I just can't do them, and it's frustrating. I think when we do, it'll like when we eventually can hopefully get out of lockdown, like June thing. Touch wood, I can only do that.
Touch wood on the lockdown being released by then.
I'm not going to doss around. I'm going to take every moment I can be outside and do it, and hopefully just smash out content after content and just enjoy doing it as well. And just because it's fun, not take it for granted of being going outside now. I think that's obviously partly why some of my things have been delayed and some projects I want to get done and done. Yeah,
it's like with this podcast, I'd much rather be doing this with you in person, but obviously we can't.
There'll be a much more that will be in the future for sure. We will meet up in person. We'll have hopefully we can do that and make a set of somewhat.
Because not only is it feels a lot better, it feels a lot more organic to just have it like face to face. We definitely bounce off each other a lot better. It's the fact that like technical issues. It's like I've had OBS crash on me twice now. You've had audio cutouts, but it's like there's not anything that we can really do about that, which is just it's a shame.
It's how it will be. It sort of, there's always going to be a beginning. There's always going to be a final vision, and I think if we keep doing what we're doing, we'll get onto that. We will do that final vision. It's early days. I know my internet in this room particularly is trash.
Have you not got little antennas on?
I do have them. but this is the attic room, so it's just
Ah, I
hidden
see.
away.
I
There's nothing
see.
I can do. Like, I can't even get an emulator up here because we've already got the emulators downstairs. So it's like,
What, you mean like a signal
uh,
booster?
yeah, it won't do anything.
Yeah,
But I do
it
see the little
is difficult.
voice connected thing. It does go down to orange ever so often, which is not what you want.
Yeah.
But hey, that's fine.
As much as I'd love to have like hired out a room in like the local music studio and
Mm.
like just sat down with you and done this, it's like we wouldn't have any of these issues. But at the same time, it's like this is the best that we have
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
situation. And I've seen so many podcasts. I've seen so many podcasts that use this kind of format, try and get things working. But so
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reality is like
exactly.
you're at the mercy of the conditions. It's like whatever you
Yeah.
can do to get it off the ground. Like I have a couple podcasts that I listen to, but I also
Mm.
take the time to like listen to lesser known podcasts. It's like one of my friends who started a podcast. I regularly listen to his. It's like yeah, he has
Yeah.
pretty much the same problems that we do. It's like
Right.
doing it over
Exactly.
Discord, so there's like frequent voice cutouts, and you kind of have to piece together what's going on. But at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
it's I have a newfound respect for it just from doing this episode alone, and from being on some of
You,
their episodes as well.
yeah,
I'll
and that's
link
the
it in
thing
the
as well.
description,
Yeah.
and I'll link
Um.
Zancast as well. Why not?
Yeah. Zamcast is as well, and if you anyone that does watch it, it's a bit more. It's a bit more political. It's not as I don't know. There's the odd occasion, but it's not political. It's the wrong word to say. But there's harder topics. And it's the sort of thing we started when we were young, but we didn't know how to structure a podcast. And I think being able to be put in multiple and also finally watching podcasts. I've always wanted to do one, but not knowing how to do them. But watching them, I've sort of understood the structure and the sort of not script it, but you don't give time for the topics to be spoken about. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you give it the time to. It's like the whole thing about a podcast to me anyway is that you're in the room with like a group of friends or like two guys just talking. It's like there's
Yeah.
no set structure. It's just
Yeah.
you'll have a topic, you'll have talking points that you want to hit on, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's just you're in the room with these people talking and just seeing where it goes.
When we first recorded our first episode of Zan's, my mate went at the end. I don't know when you listened, I don't know if you remember him going, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot we were doing that. Because he generally forgot when we finished the video, the recording. Obviously saying like, thank you. He was like, oh yeah, I forgot we were even doing that, because he felt
Yeah, it just feels
was
natural.
It was, and that is how easiest way of making a podcast work, is making it natural and not forced.
Yeah.
But like he was like, oh yeah, that's what we were doing. I was like, yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, now I remember why we just sat in a Discord call.
Yeah, but no, I definitely helped. Funny enough, watching podcasts helped me understand how they bloody work.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes sense. It's like watching a YouTube video on how to tie your laces. You're not going to know unless you actually watch a video or be taught. I've sort of taught.
It's like you don't get a
So,
proper grasp on it until you do it yourself.
No, but I've always wanted to do it. So when I did it originally, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so like, when you have that issue where you're like, you find you're like a character, obviously, like, the way we are on here isn't at all who we are in real life properly. It's all this sort of, it's a slight tweak on our original selves.
Yeah, you do have a somewhat, like, you tweak your somewhat based on where you are. Like, I'm going to act different around, like, my family to how I am to my friends to how I am on a podcast, for example.
Right, exactly. So,
but it's still me.
Yeah, but I found when I did my original one of Zan's, it was like I was sort of like in this weird trying not to be myself, trying to be someone I'm not, but like it just sort of created this weird like this awkward character, and it was like, who is this? Like I didn't even want to watch myself. It cringed me out. But now I would be able to listen to my podcast or listen to this one and sort of go like, you know what? It's just like listening to a conversation I've already had with someone. It's not awkward, but originally it was very awkward because I didn't want to be myself, but I did not want to be this character. So it was a mess. That's because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And you can find that a lot once the camera's on you. Once you're in that mode, you just don't act like yourself, and it's like, hold on, you need to remain that balance. You need to find that, if that makes sense. Like as you say, you're different around your parents, different around podcast, different around your work friends to your outside friends, but you sort of keep it the same in a way. You not have like a personality crisis mid.
Which personality am I going to pick today? But you know what I do hate though? You know what annoys me it's like if you had a guest on a YouTube video, or if you had a guest on a podcast, they usually chill with you. I remember ages ago, I had a mate who I did a couple YouTube videos with. I don't think they're up anymore. I took them down. I had a mate who was like usually like super chill. It's just like, hey, you want to do this? It's like, yeah, sure. We'll just like keep it low key, have some fun together. You're around mine. We'll record this. And then as soon as the camera's on, the mic's on, and we're recording, it's just absolute switch of personality. It's just like, well, calm down. Calm down, man.
Dude, yeah. I know that. I remember I recorded a video doing like a house tour to my mate's house, and that is no way how we are in real life. We are just literally like very sarcastic. On more so on that, we are quite. I'm quite a sarcastic person, but like more so on that, to the point where it's like this isn't how a normal person speaks, but it's still I've seen it where some people just become a completely different person. It's like
another thing that people do is if they don't become excessive over the top to try and always draw attention to the camera, they usually pick a character trait and just crank it up to 11, and that is their character. It's like, if you have someone who's mildly sarcastic or occasionally throws a joke in there, once the camera's rolling, you cannot get like a straight sentence out of them without just something sarcastic or just like a slight in there. And you just think, like, come on, man, you don't need to put of course you tune your personality somewhat, but you don't need to force a character on a camera.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's nice to know that people want to listen to you just being yourself in a way, and not like a character, because that's, if you want to be a character, there's a time you are a character. You have to be, but the podcast, that's not the time for it, because people don't tune in to listen to Peter Griffin, unless it's a Peter.
That's one of the things that I've certainly found solace with in terms of when I've been live streaming, when I did that for a while. Now that college has eased up. But no, one of the biggest things for me when I was live streaming is that it was so confidence inspiring when I realized that to an extent you do play up. Like, you play into the hype a little bit. If there's hype moments, you're going to get excited. You'll, like, bounce in your chair. You'll get in the moment. But for the most part, it's so confidence-inspiring. And that's why I fully support, like, any of my friends who decide to start streaming, is because people watch you for you. There's two reasons that people watch. They watch you for you, for your personality, or they watch you like a world champion. It's like if you were in esports, if you were in a pro team, then they watch you for your gameplay. And for like 99% of people, it's their personality that people come for.
When I watch it, I don't tend to watch too many live streams. The ones I do watch, it's like usually a person I've been following sort of video wise on YouTube, let's say, for a while. When I tune into their like live stream, asking them a question, and then them answering that question that you said, is quite a nice thing. It's like you haven't met them in person, but it's the same question you'd probably ask them if you met them in person, and they've said you'll get your name out. So it's like, you'd be like, oh, my username I go sort of on YouTube would be like Toko. So it'd be like, oh, Toko asks, how are you doing? It's like, stupid as that, simple as that. But like, yeah, I'm not too bad. And it's like, oh, he asked it. That was my question. It was, you felt quite personal. And that's what I like about the stream, is like, it's live, it's ready, it's there and then,
it's like having that interaction. Definitely.
Exactly.
That's the other thing with live streaming, is that you've got to have a YouTube presence. That's the other thing. If you ever want to do live streaming, have a YouTube presence, like, please. I'm still figuring it out myself, but one thing I've learned is that you don't get discovered on Twitch unless it's from somewhere else. So
no, exactly.
Have something on YouTube, even if it's just stream highlights till you figure out what you're doing. It's like the shadow reels. I had so much fun with that, even though it was absolute hell to make.
9-second video of literally just like, go to my Twitch, make it wacky, make it crazy. At least there's something constantly being uploaded on a platform people are more likely to discover you on. I completely agree with that.
But yeah, it's the fact that we're in this pandemic has definitely made online a lot more present. Like, online is short of work.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's our only social interaction. It's kind of all we've got.
Stocks have boomed up because of the pandemic.
It's like, I mean, crypto mining, that's the whole reason for half of this.
Oh yeah. Like, I've got shares in AMC, hoping that will eventually go up. I did have some shares. I did take some losses, but I took, I don't really know what I'm doing.
You've got to take your L's with your W's.
But I do have good friends that are doing it as well, and we're all sort of two of them are mainly the ones that give the information. I don't care enough for the information. I'm putting it in. I'll eventually make some money back on it. It's basically, it's savings. At the end of the day, it's savings. So
a lot more volatile, but
I have no idea how crypto mining works anyway.
That's half the reason why all of the like the graphics cards and stuff is just crypto mining's had another boom, and it's frustrating because
Yeah.
you know that these things are going to just sit in a mining farm, and then they're
Right.
just going to be discarded once mining falls off the deep end again,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like it did before when the first mining boom happened. I can't remember what
Yeah.
year it was, but after that you had all of this e-waste, all of these graphics cards that were made with like no display output, graphics card purely for mining, that were just useless. Like you couldn't do anything with
Yeah.
them after that. And that's why I'm mad with Nvidia. It's like they've made bespoke crypto mining graphics cards, which is a whole other can of worms, because it's just,
God.
as well as all the things that I said before,
Yeah,
with like the fact that it's just going to be useless e-waste after mining settles down after it.
course
You've
it
got the
will.
other thing of, with all of the shortages going around, it's not like they're making more foundry space so that all of their graphics cards, like all of their gaming graphics cards, get to gamers. No, they're partitioning the space that they
Yeah.
already have. Well,
Yeah.
so where before it was like, if you had a set of 100 gaming cards, 70 of those would go to miners and 30 of those would go to actual gamers, but that's that's just down to the purchasing order. Now it's that you have this dedicated chunk just for miners, so gamers going to get even less. It's getting worse. It's not getting better.
Worse. No,
Any attempts to conceal that as like a pro-consumer move, saying we're getting more cards in the hands of gamers, just no. I get it. I hate that I get it, because I can see both sides, because at the end of the day they want to maximize their profits. They're a business.
Yeah.
But at what point does it become okay, given this context, to be so brazenly, well, anti-consumer?
Yeah, pretty much. For sure.
What makes a good business is your balance of being profit driven and being pro-consumer. It's like that balance may vary. Obviously, you've got to maintain profits to an extent because you need to keep your business afloat. At what point does that fall out of balance?
No, for sure. It's the same with like, I don't know if this is similar in a way, but like GameStop, with the stocks, it did them a lot of justice, because they've now got out of all the debts and everything because of the amount of people that invested in this dying company. But then you got the likes of some of the companies like Robinhood who sort of stopped people from investing, which is it illegal, is it not? There was a whole like massive discussion.
I think it's an ongoing legal battle.
Yeah, I think a lot of time they were trying to protect the billionaires in the world.
Because you think that they've probably got, because of how involved they are in the stock market and how they work with it, like all of the hedge funds and billionaires and brokers, they're going to have investments in each other. There's definitely going to be a point where they want to protect their own assets, they want to protect their own investors, because in that scenario, that's what the market was fighting against. It was all of the hedge funds and billionaire brokers. But when those brokers and hedge funds are what are keeping your business afloat, they took that step.
Power that Elon Musk has on the stock market is insane.
Yeah, let's talk about Elon Musk for a minute. He's an enigma. He's an enigmatic individual.
Oh yeah, he is great. I've never not liked him. People hate him, but they can't ever justify why.
Yeah, I can understand him being polarizing, but I can't understand people just outright hating him.
They hate him, and if you were to say like to a lot of people, it's like, oh, why do you hate Elon Musk? Oh, well, because
just cause.
Okay. I remember asking about.
He's definitely a character. I think people just hate him because it's so out of the norm. Because you think of the position he's in, and you think of how people are expected to act in that position, sort of very strict, very corporate, almost like by the book, like from a script almost. And then you have Elon coming in and say, invest in Dogecoin, and you just think, well, what is going on? What timeline is this?
If he invests in AMC, oh my god. That's all he needs to do, and people will.
But yeah, the influence he has is ridiculous.
Someone was signing. He was signing things. He's a lovely man. Like, he'd just given them their time, and he did over-explain something. But he was signing some things. You know, he didn't have to, but he was, because his people found where he was or whatever. And before he gets in his car, someone shouts over. He's like, "Elon, how do you have the power? How do you do this? How do you know?" He's like, "Once we'd met," he just like smug laughs. It's like. And just gets back into his car, and it's like, you beautiful man. It's so good.
It's crazy how much influence he has, though. It's like, I remember when WhatsApp was introducing their new privacy policy, and Elon tweeted 2 words: use Signal, and then their stocks went up like
Yeah,
a really big amount. I cannot remember the percentage for the life of me, but
quite a funny person in
yeah,
general. Like he was sort of like I remember, do you know his girlfriend Grimes?
yeah.
So firstly, she does great music. Just want to put it out there. If you like experimental sort of familiar sound, it's yeah. Anyway, Grimes was live streaming, and there's this beautiful video. I'll send it to you. It's a 3 minute video. You don't have to watch it all. It's only that little section. I'll tell you what to record. But he's so cute because he's literally like Grimes is there, and he's like going, "Hello, hi, hi, hello, hello," and he's like an awkward dad. It's amazing. He doesn't know how to socialize, so he's there going, "Hello, hi," and
It's
it
like
just like
that
you just
one
hold
cool
him.
dad.
You just want to hold him and be like, "It's okay, Elon. It's okay," you know.
No, I think he's simultaneously so in touch and out of touch at the same time, and I think
Yeah.
that's the magic. That's half of the
When
magic of him.
he's in the zone, when he's like in financial businessman, nothing's stopping him. But
Mm,
when he's in social mode, he does tend to not know what he's doing, but then goes back into like business mode instantly. It's really quite bizarre to watch.
mm.
Like when you saw him in, like in the street and he was signing all those things for some people, one question just made him like know what he was saying, and he was like he completely changed. Like a lot of the time, people ask him questions, he would just go, "I mean, yeah, man, yeah, 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 it's not bad, yeah." But now, like as soon as they ask him something that he's passionate about, he'd be like, bah, 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 with all the right things. It's just a dream to meet him. If I don't say, it would be amazing
You
to
know, it
just
would
meet him.
definitely be an experience to meet the guy,
I
just to
remember
see
I
how he
asked him.
actually interacts in person.
We were like at one point like, oh, do you? Yeah, I hope you do, if you watch this podcast, hopefully he knows that the person watching knows who this is about. And oh god, we asked him once like, oh, why do you believe in Elon Musk? Like, do you like Elon Musk? And he goes, nah, don't like him. And this is similar to how I was saying like people don't know how to back it up. I said, oh, why don't you like him? And he's like, oh, he's just a bit of an idiot. Okay, and we weren't
Yeah.
annoyed. Like, you can have
Mm.
your opinion. And we're like, oh, why do you think he's an idiot? Oh, it doesn't matter what I say. You won't agree anyway. It's like,
Well,
we
you've given them the platform to explain their opinion.
and then because now he's making bank or somewhat trying to make bank off Elon, his opinions all changed. It's like, oh, do you like Elon? Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, he's got good ideas and that. It's like,
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, but people are always going to like you when you're of service to them. That's a
That's
given. Like they could treat you like absolute shit, but if you're providing them a service, like they're gonna like you anyway,
yeah,
just
100%.
because you're making their life easier.
But another thing that made me laugh as well actually was my mate put up a poll on his Instagram once, and it was like one of my friends answered it, and it was like, do you believe in communism? And he goes, no. And then he goes, the next question was like, do you think billionaires or millionaires should exist? And he goes, yes. I believe in communism, but you think you can't have what you have to have both. Not communism. Is it communism?
Capitalism. Yeah, I was a little bit confused there.
Yeah, not
I was a little bit confused.
communism. My friend's communist. That was interesting. She also believed in witchcraft, which was also interesting. But no, yeah, I mean, capitalism. You can't. You have to have one. How you went no to capitalism, but goes yes to billionaires. It's like, how does that work? how have you brought that out in your head? Well, if you want to hear discussions about communism, feel free to not watch this podcast. It won't be discussed on here. At least I
Yep.
don't think.
Join us next episode. How AMD is making us all secretly communist because their branding is red.
If I think the more likely place, if anyone wants to listen to communism, is go to the Zanskar podcast, because I'm sure we can discuss it on there. Okay.
Yeah, we need a plug tally for you, George. It's just if you don't get 5 plugs by the end of this episode, like 5 natural plugs, I will be disappointed.
Yeah, it's right. It's not deliberate things, all right. I'm just passionate about.
Passionate about what I do. What can I say?
No, I definitely think people's mindsets tweak to, like you say, if people give them a service and how their opinion can change on someone just because they're sort of essentially using.
It's like, yeah,
You know?
suddenly when they're doing something to benefit, there's like
Yeah.
your whole tone's changed.
Exactly. So that's just how it works, really, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes that is just how it works. But yeah, to sort of get back on track with things, it's like what are you even using your PC for? Obviously, you're on the Discord here, but are you doing much with it? I know you've got your sort of jerry-rigged setup.
Yeah, so my cheap setup, which cost me like overall I think cost me about 30 quid when you really put it all together, excluding how much I bought the PC originally or for you from.
Yeah, for context, I sold George my first PC when I built my second one.
I'd still hate him for, because he should have charged me a lot more for it. It's not a bad PC for the price he
You know how mates rates work.
rates, man. That ain't mate rates. That's like bro rates right there, man.
Homies rates.
Homie rates. No,
The homie discount.
yeah, exactly. I think though, for like one of the nicest things that I have is because I have like decent it at a time. I can just do bits and bobs there. I do want to set up a stronger channel for myself, and have my own platform that I can back up on and use. And there's some brilliant. I've got some good ideas for that. And it just generally another place, another area of gaming, another place of chillness I can go to. It's like spice up my experience. When I get bored on Xbox, I can come on PC. When I get bored on PC, I'll go on Xbox. It's just another area of gaming that I can invest in. Another area of like fun. Really, it's good that I've
You have an alternate place for consoles. It's like they are good, and for considering the power you've got in them, they are really good value. The downside of that is that they're a one trick pony. It's like, I sort of understand the stigma of like, oh, PCs are just stupid expensive, it's not worth it, but you forget that PCs are designed to do everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of happy also I've got out of laptops now, because obviously now I've got this. There's no reason for me to ever really get a laptop, because laptops, no matter what you do with them, they will just inevitably die. Like, in my experience, I don't know what I've done to my laptop, but it's dead. Like, it turns on, but then it will turn off. It makes no sense. Like, it resets itself, it does all these weird things, error codes galore, and I've sent it off to get it repaired, and it still has come back with issues. I don't know what's happened to it. And it's not like I have anything on there that's worth keeping. It's just what's on there is on there. What I don't know of, I don't care about. You know, this is the new setup. This is where everything needs to be at this point. When it comes to like what I had as a laptop, I was like, well, what do I need one for college? So I bought a Chromebook.
Oh no, Chromebook.
But don't get me wrong, a Chromebook, Android is great, but my model is like the one before they started putting Android Market on there, or Google Play Store. So I can't do shit on it. I can't do anything on it because it's so restricted. You think an Xbox or console was restricted? Have you had a Chromebook?
Yeah.
I bought it because it was cheap, and it was, at the time, it was, good. But when you've got other things existing out there, it is trash. Honestly, it is awful how bad a Chromebook is. And they get away with it, and I don't know how. One of the worst things I've ever bought. Like, you cannot do anything on it. I'm surprised actually Discord existed on it.
Oh wow,
Like,
you actually got Discord on it.
It's definitely not a Discord, but it's an emulated Discord which works. So that's kind of sick. But like, another thing that I noticed on it was even Spotify runs through web browser. It has an app icon, but it's the same as you making a shortcut. You click it and it'll bring up the web browser. What's that about?
Yeah.
It was trash. Honestly trash. So don't get Chromebooks, kids.
Moral of the story: don't get Chromebooks.
Don't get Chromebooks. Don't get laptops. Spend $1,000 on the PC.
I think where a lot of the issues getting a PC is that the initial investment is a lot higher. If you just want a game, console is probably better value for you, probably a better choice. Go for it. But if you want to get any work done,
don't go for a Chromebook.
Yeah, don't go for a Chromebook, whatever you do. That's an unwritten rule.
But I think a lot of the time when you think about PC, it's definitely an investment. It's never you can never spend too much on a good tower.
Yeah.
Because if you spend, let's say get like a 500 pre-build, I'm pretty sure you can still tweak the pre-build and change things around on it. But like, that could last you a good 6 months. You go, oh god, okay. And then because you bought that pre-build at like, let's say 500, that 30 quid extra, you're going to get a lot more out of it. But then you're not even considering the 500 because you've already, that's in the past. That's what you've spent. You can always get up to, like, I think eventually, like, there'll be a time where I might need to upgrade some bits on yours. But at the moment, I don't play anything crazy for it to be necessary. If I could ask, the one thing I would need to change would be that disk tray, as I previously discussed, or somewhat better Wi-Fi. That's nothing that PC can do. So because I play like custom zombies, but I play World at War zombies, I don't need to get the Black Ops 3 version.
Well, you can scale it. You can scale your budget and your experience to what you want out of it. It's like consoles, it's a one size fits all thing. If you just want to play, like you say, World at War zombies, you don't need like an RTX 3080 and a 12 core processor,
God.
it's like that initial investment. Everyone just thinks, oh, PCs are just £5,000 rainbow bath boxes of power, but no, they can be 500 quid if you're pushing it. If you just have like simple things that you need to do,
Exactly.
you can scale it exactly to how you want. And it's like, yeah, the initial investment, that's the kicker. That's the main kicker. It's like in mine, I've got a 12 core processor. Do I need all those 12 cores? Absolutely not. Do I want the security in case I want to jump into other projects? Like if I started doing like 3D modeling or like intense work, I want that headroom.
Exactly. And that comes with anything on eBay. Currently bidding on a... Do you know the difference in AGS 001 and AGS 101?
Don't fully.
So I think, am I still the highest bidder? I'm just checking now. I am. And I've got 5 days left on it. It's currently 71.14 to my price that I'm going to pay with 15 quid delivery for a Game Boy. But anyway, sort of off topic, the AGS 101 were the in the period sort of near the time of the Game Boy Micro.
Is it like different SKUs, like different versions?
So yeah, it's a different version, but what it is, it's the brighter screen. It's not the Game Boy SP. For it had quite a dim screen, but there weren't as many released. So to be able to find one and get your hands on one, even they've been refurbished, tampered with, make them brighter, because people can, of course they can, but it's good when you find one at a price that I found it. Like they go for about 150, which is a lot for an old console when you think about it. Yeah,
just for that reason, it's an old console. Like Game Boy.
I'm never gonna get rid of my consoles. My dad got rid of my old Game Boys and stuff like that, but I'm not going to be the one to get rid of them. So I've got a Sega Mega Drive and stuff like that, because in the future I can show whoever I'm with at the time, my kids maybe, I don't know, anyone, this was a console. This is what
it's like you have a piece of history.
Yeah, so the 150 quid, that 90 quid I might be spending on something is nothing.
Yeah, that's like a long-term investment at that point.
Exactly.
That just makes me think of all the old PS2s, because you had like the slim version that everyone hated, which is the one that I got. Yeah, and like everyone would talk about, oh, like the superior version of the PS2 if you ever wanted to like speed run a game, because I was very into speed running at one point, and I was considering like speed running some of my old PS2 games. Like I think I was considering Spyro Enter the Dragonfly I was going to submit in an actual run for, and then one of the Crash racing games, Crash Nitro Kart. Like I was looking around and everyone says like, oh, which PS2 do you use? Like, what do you mean which PS2? There was just, in my mind at the time, there was just, oh, you've got the PS2, and then I actually realized, oh, there were different versions that actually performed differently.
The big chunk boys, I'm like, what?
Yeah, you had like you had like a big PS2, and then you had a slim PS2, and then just
I had the 360 Elite, and that's a ugly thing, and it's this. I need to clean out. I think there's like dust in it or something. But I need to actually open it up. I don't know how.
Why are you telling me about this? How it sounds like a jet turbine?
Yeah, it does. If I put the Godfather game on, fucking hell, it's about to take off.
Oh, my PC does that though as well. I haven't adjusted the fan curve on it, but it's really, if I put like a intense application, or if I have a couple applications open at the same time, all doing stuff, occasionally I just in my right here I just hear these fans spooling up and then just go back down instantly.
Same with the Xbox 360, and I don't know what I think I know what it is because I've seen a video on it, but how to open it, like how to, I think it's like WikiHow have a video, but like Jesus, a flathead screwdriver, pry it open. It's like, what? How have they made this so difficult? Like, are you joking?
A lot of them just use like plastic clips. Those are the worst. Like, I'd much prefer a screw that mildly messes up the design over like a plastic clip, because those are so easy to break.
Oh yeah,
they're so easy. I the amount of times where I'm so lucky. I had to take apart my my Switch's Joy-Cons to replace the sticks because they had drift, and the amount of times that I was just clenching, thinking I was going to break one of these like little like plastic catches. I was bricking it internally, thinking, oh god, if I break this isn't going to go back together properly. Oh geez.
I just think, like, as well, no matter how much I spend on any console, there will be a time where it will be worth less, but then it will only be worth more. And even if it's not worth more in value of money, in the corniest, weirdest way, it'll be worth more in my own value for it.
Oh no, like a sentimental sense.
Right, exactly. Very excited. And if I don't get this one, that's fine. They do this for about 140. I'm just trying to save a little bit of money.
Yeah, of course, save money where you can.
I think if it goes above the bidding I have already at being about, including delivery, about 90, I will just buy the other one. Then it will be, I know the set price I'm paying for it, not the possibly the price I might be like that. I don't
Yeah,
want to.
like not you don't want to pay like an inflated price.
I'm going to leave it for 5 days, and if someone bids me within that 5 days and outbids me, then good for them.
Yeah.
Enjoy your console.
Yeah, like I've got a Game Boy Advance. I've got a Game Boy Advance SP, I think,
Yeah.
just sort of sitting. It's still sitting in its box because I don't think I have the charger cable. I think I lost the charger cable at some point. Yeah, it had like the tribal patterns on it and everything, and I loved it to bits.
Got the Game Boy Micro. That was a beautiful find because those are more expensive than they need to be. And then like you've got the price I paid was like 90 quid, but they can go for it easily for about 200 quid, and you're like, yeah. And then the condition it's in is almost mint. Like the Game Boy Micro was such a wasted opportunity, but it's console because it's just it's like a Game Boy, obviously. Very, very exciting, very good console, and that will only age more with time. The one upsetting thing with retro sort of gaming is the CRT TVs, because
That's a mouthful.
yeah, because they will deplete in time because there's only that they're not worthwhile screens. They don't have the LED tech, so they will just break, rusting through just general wear. I've bought one, but I know that it's gonna deplete and I know it's gonna break, and I did spend about 50 quid on it. But that will be something when I'm in older, hopefully it still works and I can like connect up old consoles to it and properly show what it was like to properly game
Yeah,
back
I think
before.
we've still got a CRT.
Proud to have it out, and I still would be, but I'd look like a weirdo having it in my room the way it is now. I've sort of changed it up so it just doesn't fit at all. It didn't fit originally. It is one of those things where in the back of my mind, no matter where I put it, no matter what happens, it will just break. And it's a shame where, like vinyls are coming back into business and like everyone has a vinyl, like everyone knows what a vinyl is now. It's a shame because no one puts the effort into the CRTVs because it's fair enough, because they're just awful to make. They are so heavy to make now. You can make a vinyl record, bring that back, but you can't bring back a CRT TV. There's no way. But that's the true way
to experience it.
It's the true way to play a Sega, Atari and shit like that. But it's a forgotten past which I should forget as well. But I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. No, I think especially with tech, one of the things is that you're gonna run out. It's like, I mean, what's the last time that you actually saw like a proper arcade cabinet?
I want a pinball machine in like an arcade.
Yes.
And they're like $1,000 or $2,000, and you know what? That's worth it. Like I say, it's a piece of history, and that value will only increase in value of what it means to the person that's bought it, not how much it costs to sell again. And if I had the room now, I'd buy I will, man. No, but I do now technically have the room. I just need to measure. But the point is, if I could get a pinball machine now, I definitely would. If I could buy an arcade machine, I definitely would. Just one of them. I don't need more than one. I'm probably stuck. I should move on. I'm probably stuck in the past that I never lived, but sue me, cancel me, I don't care. It's one of those things where I definitely love about gaming. That's why I've never really upgrade PCs. I downgrade my gaming.
I mean, it's like a lot of arcade cabinets are just like, there are no surviving ones unless there's like a proper restoration project. Like, I mean, Donkey Kong, like everyone used to like speedrun or get a high score even. So that's obviously one preserved. But for a lot of these classic games or a lot of these classic cabinets, it's through things like emulation, because those are the only way to experience them now.
Yeah, exactly, and that's and it only makes me want to get the original version more when I see if I was to buy like the new 30th anniversary Mario on the Switch.
Oh yeah, All Stars. I really hate that. I hate that.
That just made me want to play it more. Like even when I was playing the PlayStation on my TV, my normal TV, it just made me want to buy a CRT TV and go, how did I used to play it? And it's probably not normal, I don't know, but the more I see all these emulated versions, the more I see backwards compatibility on the Xbox One or the Xbox Series X 360. I want to feel the old controller. I want to play it properly. It's a shame that people get emulated a lot of the time. I can happily say there's some games out there which I'll buy because playing emulated is just wrong. Like, you need to, in my opinion, That makes sense. To it
I do
really.
get that to an extent. For a lot of it, I'm pro emulator in the sense that, well, one, for a lot of cases, it's the only way that you can reasonably go out and experience a lot of these titles. That, and you
It's
get
true.
a lot of it's like one of the games that I've been playing recently is Sonic Riders, right? But it's not the original version. It's a modded version. So as in they've taken the disc image of like the GameCube version and they modified it to essentially make it esports viable, to make it like tournament viable. It's so much fun. And like when you get all the enhancements that come with emulators, is like I can play I never thought that I'd be able to play one of these games from my childhood
Right.
modified to be as fast as I thought it was.
For me, I think it's like it's games that I know. Okay, so if there's a game like, for example, that I know I can't buy because it's just not available anywhere, like it is that rare. That does aggravate me. For example, there is this game which I have had, and it was technically through a ROM download, but it was McDonald. It was a McDonald's game. Island. It was for the Genesis, and he played as like Ronald McDonald. It was a weird bloody game, but it was quite cool. And I remember seeing a review on it, and I just thought I sort of fell in love with it. And I managed to get it sort of on a emulated version for this emulated handheld console I had, and that was the time I played it. Trying to find it, it's like it's ridiculous. It's literally like looking for a needle in a haystack. Where, and anyone that does, it's like they're overcharging you. It's like 100 quid, and you're just like, that's so way too much.
That's
For just
crazy. There comes a point where it's just no longer feasible. It's like, okay, you've got something rare here, but don't get ahead of yourself.
And that frustrates me because I know I can't. I can only play it emulated, and boy have I. And it just doesn't feel right. That's the one issue with it. It just doesn't feel right in my mind. Yeah, I shouldn't be playing it like this. I should be truer to how it was originally played. I did manage to get my hands on another McDonald's game though. It was McDonald's Global Gladiator.
McDonald's Global Gladiator. That's a sentence.
That's the game I bought and managed to find quite cheap on CX, funny enough, which was interesting.
Yeah, CEX actually holds like quite a few retro games. It's weird.
Yeah, they don't hold McDonald's Treasure Island though.
Not even worth it.
No, they don't. It's not even a search for it. No one's brought it in, and I'm like, why?
Okay, what do you think on emulators that or like emulated versions of games that actually improve it then? So it's like N64.
Like FPS better and stuff like that.
No, I mean N64, for example, for the control scheme, like having the controller, like the three-pronged rocket ported to a modern controller, or just like having a game-breaking bug fixed through an emulator. What's your thoughts on that?
It's hard for me, right? Because me personally, I think anyone that wants to experience a better version, 100%, like go for the upgrade emulator version because they're only a better version of what you already played. So if you're happy enough, if you have that nostalgia to play, I don't know, your favorite Mega Man, well, you've seen this emulated version, you've managed to get the emulated version, and it's the same experience, just a better quality and a better overall. You're still getting that nostalgia, then live for it. Yeah, 100%. But for me, I tried my darn hardest to play it in the awful state that it was, just because that's my nostalgia. That's how I 100% remember it. But there's people who play, just want to experience what the game was like, but want to experience it if it was released like today, you know? I think that's what you meant. Like, that's how
yeah, I know that you're, from what we've talked about it, is like you're not so much a purist, but you value the authentic, like original experience a lot more.
I think if anyone was to tell me that I'm like, oh, well, this is stupid, I'd be like, how? Like, I remember my mate when I was like, oh, I'm going to buy the Xbox Series X and all that. He was like, oh, I might get the digital one. And I turned around to him, and I wasn't like, how bloody dare you? But I was like, oh, fair enough. I personally want the disc one because I know I want to buy discs. And he turns around to me and just goes, what's the point in that though? What do you mean, what's the point in buying discs?
Yeah.
Firstly, cheaper through them being a disc physical form. And secondly, I don't want. How often do you think about Blockbuster? Be honest.
I do still think about Blockbuster every now and again.
I've recently bought Coraline yesterday, Prime, to watch, and that upsets me because I want to rent it. And it's the same thing. It's like I don't want to see a market of discs deplete because people have all gone digital. Sure, it's a new norm, but while it's still around, I want to try and be a part of that as much as I can. Anything can be digital, but having it physically and like as a copy itself, that holds a lot more purpose.
Yeah, it holds a lot more value in that sense.
Yeah, and I just said to him, I was like, while the digital market's booming, I want to still be part of the disc market because I don't want to see it deplete like Blockbuster. And he just turns around and goes, don't get it. Okay. I was like,
That, and you get into the realm of if everything's digital,
yeah,
it's like you don't
that's
have
it.
the ownership of it. But that's a whole can of worms that I'll probably forget to cover next episode. And on that note, I should probably call it because I'm got to get ready for work.
Oh, yes.
Heck yeah.
Yes.
But no,
Well,
thank you to everyone for watching. George, do you have any closing remarks?
guys, keep gaming.
Don't
Keep
buy
doing it.
Chromebooks.
Don't buy but thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've made it this far, and if you have, we'll hopefully see you in the next one, I believe, with that, Ben, right?
PCs aren't all that scary when you think about it.
They're definitely not.
Be sure to like and subscribe, all of the generic YouTuber stuff that I have to say in order for the algorithm to love me, and we'll see you again next time. We'll probably be talk about Google Stadia. That people like dumping on Google Stadia. I'll try and remember that for next episode.
Sweet one. See you later, guys. Thank you.
Take care all.